Welcome to Impact Farming, where we introduce you to the people and ideas that will have a massive impact on your farming operation. Brought to you by Farm Marketer. Sit down, start the engine, and let's roll with today's show.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Impact Farming Show. Today we have a great guest joining us. We have Mathieu Lipari from Farm Management Canada. How are you, Mathieu?
I'm doing great. How are you, Tracy?
Good. I'm so excited for you to be joining us on the show to speak more about a new tool that you guys have launched called AgriShield. Before we dive into that, would you like to tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do and all that good stuff?
Sure thing. Yeah, I'm Mathieu Lipari. I've worked for Farm Management Canada for about 11 years now, and I'm their program manager, but I've been mostly responsible with for the risk management programs that we run.
Oh, okay.
We do all kinds of resources and tools and provide information to producers on business management in general. So business management for agriculture. So, and I've been focusing a lot on risk management within that. So
okay.
That's what I do. Yeah.
I've had Heather on the show, and actually I just interviewed her to kind of do a what's new episode and really promote your conference that's happening November 24th, 25th, 26th. And yeah, it's coming up. So I'm excited to be chatting with you. So why don't we dive right in? What is AgriShield and why did you guys develop this tool?
Sure. So AgriShield is a risk management platform, and it really covers the entire range of managing risk for a farm. So we recognize that agriculture is very risky. It's something that we can see as compared to other industries as well. The OECD did a study on agriculture versus other industries, and we could see that we're a high risk industry. And we don't have a very high level of preparedness compared to other industries as well. So that puts us in a situation where there's a lot of room for growth when it comes to risk management. And risk management hasn't really been seen very much as a comprehensive process right now. It's kind of, there are pieces here and there that you can see. I mean, if you talk about occupational health and safety, that's its own piece of risk management. If you talk about dealing with the environment, that's another piece of risk management. If you think about the government business risk management programs, that's another piece of risk management. So there are pieces all over the place that we don't necessarily call risk management, but that are part of a bigger risk management process. And we do this every day as producers. There's lots of activities we do on the farm that would be called risk management. So our goal with AgriShield was to bring it all together into one place and to say, okay, well, we have a tool now that allow you to sift through all that, figure out what are the risks that are important for you and for your farm, and then look at those in more depth and figure out what you can do about those risks. And so there's a lot of information, resources, and analysis tool in there, and all of these things. And I'll talk about the parts in a minute, but yeah, that's the purpose of AgriShield, is to provide a tool for producers and for others who are working with producers to look at risk in a comprehensive way for the farm, and to be able to analyze the risk according to that farm and get to an action plan where we could put in place mitigation factors that will help to reduce that risk.
Excellent. And I said this to Heather too, you guys are such an integral part of this industry. I love that you're there. You guys really lead the way in creating bodies of work gathering the community, but also gathering the resources because, like you just said, everything in our industry tends to be pretty fractured. It's a silo of, like you said, safety and then crop insurance, and it's all siloed that way. And also, there's several different companies. So if you're a farmer, which I am, and you're looking for information on farm transition planning or risk management, there wasn't one spot where you can have all that information in one nice place, right?
Put together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And farmers are busy. And if you want them to be able to do something and they're stuck in the weeds trying to sort through all the different tools and companies, good luck. So I appreciate that you guys are here doing the work that you do. So a quick note and a thank you for what you guys do.
Well, thank you very much for that. Yeah.
You're welcome. So I assume it's great for all farmers. It probably covers all different segments of the industry, all types of farmers, right?
Yeah. So whenever we set out to build these tools for farms at Farm Management Canada, we're really looking to cover everybody, from a small beginning farm to much larger corporations that are at a very different level. But when we're talking about risk in agriculture, the same risk will apply to pretty much any size, any type of commodity. There are some exceptions. Obviously, we have a section, for example, in AgriShield that talks about animal health and welfare and the risks associated to that. So if you're not in that type of production, well, it doesn't really apply to you. But many of the sections that are included in the AgriShield platform are made to cover any farm for any type of commodity, any type of production in any area in Canada, and also for any size. So the other thing that's interesting about the platform is that it's been developed in such a way that it's become so universal that we actually have other countries that are looking to the platform to see if they could pick up on what we've built and try to build something similar for their own producers. So it probably translates over to other geographical areas in the world as well.
Right on. Great job. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure, because obviously in agriculture and in our audience, we have all the different types of farmers. So I want to ask that question. Did you want to talk about some of the features, kind of nuts and bolts of the program, the tool?
Yeah, so there's a standard process to go through when you want to evaluate risk, want to manage risk for your farm. You start off with the identification of risk. Okay. There's lots of different risks on a farm, and sometimes they're not really clear which ones we're facing. We may not be aware of certain risks as well. So what we've done in AgriShield is we put them all together. We did a public consultation with many different producers in Canada. I think it was over 120 producers. And we did focus groups with them and did some interviews and gathered all the risks that they could identify, put them into categories with them as well, and built that into the platform. So the risk identification part's already done for you. It doesn't mean that we've included everything you could possibly face, but there's a lot of work done already. So you won't have too much of an issue identifying those risks. And then the next step of the process is to then sort through all these risks and figure out which ones are actually big risks for me and which ones are not so important. So there's an evaluation tool, like a preliminary evaluation tool, which we call our risk roadmap. That's in the platform. You go through that. It's a pretty quick process. It has about 30 questions, or a little bit over 30, that you answer just on a scale of 1 to 5. And they all relate to how frequent or probable a risk would be and what the impact would be on your farm if it did happen. So we go through a bunch of risk categories that have already been identified for you. You go through that process, and then you end up with a roadmap that tells you these are high-level risks for you, and then there are other ones that are not so important for you. And then the next step is to take those high-level risks and delve in a bit deeper, do a bit more of an analysis for that. So it has another section where now you do an in-depth analysis, which takes into consideration what you're currently doing to reduce those risks? What are you doing to mitigate those risks? And also, what's your level of preparedness to face those risks? So it asks a few other questions about each one of those risks, just for the high level ones, the ones that are, fairly predominant, right? In your top 5 list, I would say, okay, of risks that are really important for your farm. And once you've done that, it'll prioritize those risks according to whether or not it's a high level risk and how well prepared you are. So those factors put in together, the degree of risk versus the level of preparedness, will give you an order of priority. Because if you're really well prepared to face a risk already, there's no point in really giving it much more attention. You want to focus on the ones where you don't have a lot of preparedness, right? So that sorts it out for you. There's a part of the tool that does that for you automatically. You just have to answer the questions, and it provides you with a table that gives you your level of priority for each risk. And then once you've done that, well, then all that's left is, well, what do I do about it? So we've identified over 500 best practices that apply to different risk situations that are in the platform. So according to the risk that you have, we'll propose some best practices that you can take to mitigate that risk or reduce that risk. And you decide if you want to do those things or not. You could also put in your own way of dealing with that risk if you want, if it's not included in the list that we've provided already. And because we recognize that there's all kinds of different situations, so there might be some different things that need to be done. But we've listed off quite a few. So that's the action planning section of the website. Wow. And so you just identify the risks, you figure out who's going to take care of this, you give it a timeline, and you have your action plan. And then finally, at the very, very end, of course, once you have all these actions planned out, you decided what you want to do about certain risks on your farm that are important for you, then you may need some help as far as figuring out how do I do that? I know what I want to do, but I may not know how to do it. So then there's fact sheets that are included in the platform that tell you what you could do, which organizations are available to help you with that particular type of risk. If you're talking about risk in regards to human resources, well, there's organizations that deal with that. If you're talking about risks that deal with farm safety, then that's another organization that you deal with. So there's multiple organizations for each type of risk that you could be dealing with. There's also multimedia presentations, articles, and other tools that you can use to help you get through that process. Because if I say you have an issue in regards to your farm transition, for example, and you need to prepare certain things, like you have to go through a process where you're going to plan out your farm transition because that hasn't been done, and that's going to be a big risk for you as you go forward. Well, you may not know how to do that, so you're going to need some help. So we have preliminary information that you could go through yourself. And of course, the other thing that we recommend is to go and consult a farm advisor who can help you to get through that process. And in that case, it might be an accountant or something like that could help you to figure out the financial side of things. There might be some family relation things to figure out as well. So you may need a coach or something like that too. So all of that's included in the platform and helps to guide you in the right direction and get the process started.
That's exciting.
That's what it does.
That's exciting and amazing. To me, there's so much information on the internet, kind of like I was saying before. And honestly, if you want somebody to be successful at something, you literally need to grab their hand at the front of the process and walk them right through to the end. Because if you just kind of go, okay, there you go, you're at high risk for X, and then you go, there's your answer, then what? They're going to be sitting there going, okay, now where do I go? Right?
Exactly.
I love it. Yeah. That's great. You've done that. You said, okay, here, let's talk about this. And you've walked them through step by step. That's amazing.
It's not such a complicated process, but it's important to first of all, to realize that there might be some risks you haven't considered, and make sure that you're working on the risks that are really important for your farm. So the tool's meant to do that. It's meant to really guide people through that process step by step, and then finally taking action for that and knowing, the big question is always, well, what do I do about this? And even if I know what I want to do, how do I do that? So there's always a list of resources available for you there. And of course, we recognize that not everything can be done yourself, so that there's always the option of going to seek additional help elsewhere as well.
Which is great too, because then when you get them to the end of the process, then you go, okay, here's what's next, right?
Yep.
Same thing as I said before, not, okay, you're done, have fun. It's like, okay, you're done, here's your next step. And if you don't take it, it's on you. We've helped you as much as we can, right?
Yeah. And what's really important through that process too is not to take on too much at the same time, because it could be overwhelming. I mean, we have 6 risk families, 19 risk categories, and over 120 risk situations. So you want to take the ones that are really important to you. That's why we have that preliminary assessment, just to figure out what are the high level risks for you. And once you've figured that out, you can start tackling them a little bit at a time. And it won't be too much of a daunting process, because there's a lot of risk on a farm, as we know, and we can't deal with everything at the same time. So
absolutely. Just like if you hire a business coach, everybody's so busy with the day-to-day, right? And that's why they push off this type of stuff, because, oh, I'm busy, I'll do it tomorrow. But if they go through and they go, oh, wow, that one is like red alert, Mayday, we got to focus on that one. Most business coaches, on top of our daily work commitments and family and community, they won't tell you to take on 5 things. They'll say, focus on one thing and get that done, right? Or 2, whatever it is. But if you try and take on 5 things, you're going to get so overwhelmed you'd quit, I'd imagine, right?
Oh, it's too much to handle. And I mean, we don't have a lot of time in agriculture either, and I recognize that. So we've tried to make it as painless as possible through the platform. That being said, there's a lot of ground to cover. So just step by step, a little bit at a time, and it can certainly have a big impact on a farm.
Okay, excellent. So I'm not sure if there's anything else you want to add. As a final step, I'm just going to get you to do a call out on where producers can go to find the tool and any information they need to know to get started, take part in it, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure. I mean, not a whole lot more I could say, except one additional feature that just happens to coincide with what we were doing was that while you're doing this risk assessment for your farm, you're also evaluating your farm for farm sustainability. And that happened a bit later in the process. We developed the tool initially to figure out, the risks on farms and to be able to manage those risks. And as we went forward and we started adding in all these best practices that we knew farms could take to reduce their risk, we saw that the same best practices were recommended for farm sustainability. So we compared it to the SAI platform's farm sustainability assessment. We did an official benchmark, and we discovered that we had all the criteria that they needed to consider a farm to be sustainable. So the platform's been rated as a gold level platform for farm sustainability. And as you go through it, we've added a little feature where you could go and see your sustainability score as you go through your risk assessments. So that's just an additional feature that just happened to be, I guess, a fortunate circumstance that allowed us to combine 2 things together and sort of go for 2 birds, 1 stone. So that's an additional feature. How do you get to our free trial? It's pretty easy. You just need to go either to our main website, which is fmc-gac.com, and look at all the resources that we have, and AgriShield will be there. Or you could go directly to myagrishield.ca, and that's the most direct way to go. You'll see that we have a new landing page there. It says start your free trial. So right now there is a free trial going on for a month. So you could go and use the platform for a month for free. And so that's anybody who registers from now until we decide to end this free trial period. But everybody gets a free month for now. So just go to myagrishield.ca and give it a try. And if you like it, then keep using it. It's an ongoing process. So this will be something that you could keep using for years if you want to keep improving on your risk management process.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Mathieu. I really appreciate you spending your time sharing this information and most importantly for developing these tools. I cannot say it enough to you, Heather, and Farm Management Canada. The work that you guys do for farmers is game changing. So thank you for working so hard to bring this to the market. I appreciate it.
Well, that's really nice of you to say. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. And you in the audience, if you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, make sure to like it, share it, so other farmers can hear what we just chatted about and check out AgriShield and see if it's right for their farm. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you on next week's episode. Bye, guys.
You've been listening to Impact Farming. For more great episodes and articles designed to help you manage and grow your farming operation, head on over to farmmarketer.com. Don't forget to sign up while you're there. We will see you on the next episode.